do not have a housing crisis, we have a mass immigration crisis. Why have these topics become taboo? We are labelled as racist for simply mentioning that adding people to a line is making the line longer. This is a self-inflicted wound.
Our next speaker, another coal miner. I swear there is something in the nationalist rights affinity for coal. He's plain spoken, but he's one of the sharpest intellects in politics. One Nation's up-and-coming star, his Bridge in New York reel and the hypocrisy reached over 2 million Australians during the election and another million around the world. His 2025 campaign delivered an unprecedented 41% two-party result for Pauline Hanson's One Nation. I give you Stuart Bonds.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Chris and Edwina for putting something like this on. It's extremely difficult. It takes a lot of balls. And Chris called me and said, I want you to come and talk at my maiden summit. And I said, mate, you've helped me out that much. Of course, I'll come and I'll give you a hand. I said, what's it about? He said, housing and immigration. Well, why not just add men playing women's sport, climate change, and Israel and Gaza conflict to the most, the conflict of our times, the topics of our time. I really appreciate the invite, though, and it is one of the defining topics of our generation, and what I believe will be the fall of Western civilization if we don't sort this out. A German philosopher once said, a truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. And third, it is accepted to be self-evident. Now, what makes a country a country? The answer may vary from person to person, but to me, a country is its people. Now, it may seem odd to you that someone would come to a housing and immigration summit and talk about their wife, who is an immigrant. And yes, my wife of 10 years is a Finnish immigrant. Coincidentally, in that time that we've been married, we have immigrated the population of Finland into Australia. But I have no problem with immigration as per se. I have a serious problem with mass immigration. The Soviet Union, I've also, during this period I've been schooled on Finnish culture and Finnish history. So the Soviet Union invaded Finland in 1939 at the outbreak of World War II, in what's known as the Winter War. Finland was the only country that halted the communist push at a cost of 70,000 Finnish casualties. Such is the price of freedom. There were 350,000 Soviet casualties in that war, but most notably there were 400,000 war refugees from Finland. And my wife's grandmother was one of them. She was sent to Sweden, not knowing the language, with tens of thousands of other children with the clothes on their backs and signs around their necks with their names on them. They stayed there for 7 years. During the USSR's invasion of Finland, 1/3 of Finland's landmass was taken during the invasion, and they installed a communist government. What's the point, right? What does this have to do with Australia? My point is that the area that they took is no longer Finnish. The citizens were removed and replaced with Soviet citizens, and it remains that way today. If you replace the people, you replace the culture. If you replace the culture, you replace the country. My wife carries the scars of her grandmother and the time that she was a war refugee inside her. And my children will carry those scars inside them. We all carry the stories of our ancestors with us. She may live here in Australia. She may have an Australian passport, but my wife's soul is Finnish. Although my children are born here, my children are also half Finnish. They speak both Finnish and English, I don't understand a thing they're saying to their mother half the time. But what I have learned from this lived experience, that values and beliefs are embedded in each child by their parents, not the soil that they are born on. I go to Thailand on Monday, literally. When I land there, I will not become a Thai. If I move to Thailand permanently, I will not become a Thai. My favourite bar in Thailand is the Aussie bar in the middle of Bangar Road. We are tribal animals. It is natural to be this way. And no matter how hard communists try, and they have, they will not change this. The Soviets tried this, most notably with their new man, the new Soviet man propaganda. But it's not just my experience. Whether you like it or not, we have a unique experience going on right here in Australia. Western civilization has been living alongside the oldest culture on earth, the Aboriginal people, for over 200 years. We still have very different cultures and we still have a lot of problems. But we celebrate these differences. Politicians get out of their cars in Canberra, they walk over to the smouldering gum leaves and they're in their Gucci suits and they smother themselves in the smoke from the gum tree smoke, covering their cologne in their Gucci suits, before they walk into the granite halls of Parliament, as if this is doing anything to address the serious problems that are happening within the Aboriginal communities. We had a referendum on wanting to bake racial division into our constitution. But those of us that dare mention there might be some problem with importing millions and millions of people into the country in such a short period of time, we are racist. When I travel through Southeast Asia, I cross the Thai-Lao border, and the people of Laos ask me, how did you get out of there alive? And then the same thing happened when I left Vietnam into Cambodia, and then Cambodia into Thailand. The Israeli taxi drivers would not take me into Palestine. When I crossed into Jordan from Israel, I walked through a fence that looked like it was out of Jurassic Park. There was a no-man's zone that you got across that's guarded by machine gun nests and landmines. It is not racist to point these things out. It is not racist to point out that if India and Pakistan go to war, there are going to be problems in countries that host a large number of Indian Pakistani residents. Look at the Israeli-Gaza conflict. Besides the breakdown of social cohesion, I don't care what anybody says, mass immigration is leading to housing shortages. We do not have a housing crisis. We have a mass immigration crisis. This is a self-inflicted wound. If your bath is overflowing, you don't build up the sides of the bath. It's too late for that. You need to shut off the tap. We need a net zero immigration policy at least, where the population is stabilised and we have a highly skilled, highly concentrated immigration program that is tied to people's skills and their employment. See, the beauty of the free market is a price discovery mechanism. It is a combination of information, of transactions of millions and millions of individuals that tell us where we have shortages, where we have excesses, where we lack skills, where we lack training, and where we need to invest our capital. It is screaming at us, telling us to stop. It is telling us that we are outstripping our available skills and resources and our ability to house our own people. You build a house and it stands for 100 years. How do we have a housing shortage? In 2008, when I purchased my first house, I was 21 years old. That house was $251,000 and the population was 21,200,000 people. By the end of this year, our population will be 28 million. Today, that same house is 17 years older, but the house is $650,000. So 21-year-old me needs to find an additional $400,000. If you want to solve the productivity crisis that's striking this nation, you need to stop driving up housing prices so that people have some money left over to invest. But Labor would have us believe that a 40% increase in the population in 17 years, mostly due to immigration, has absolutely nothing to do with housing prices. The Liberals will not even have this debate. Why have these topics become taboo? Why has One Nation been the only ones willing to fight this fight? We are labelled as racist for simply mentioning that adding people to a line is making the line longer. What a lot of people don't know is that over the last 8 years, my wife and I have been paying for Cambodian family to go to Western schools so they can learn English. because I believe in a better world. I believe the best way to help people is to help them where they are, giving them education and ability to lift themselves out of poverty. Why are the Cambodians in poverty? Because the communist revolution in Cambodia killed 1/3 of their population, trying to make everyone equal. Everyone was equal at the end of that revolution. They were equally dead or equally poor. One particular image that will stick in my mind when I was taken around that country was a soldier throwing a baby into the air by one leg and another soldier holding a handgun shooting the baby out of the air like a clay target. Littered in front of him were dozens of other children. My experience from travelling the globe is that big government only brings two things: poverty and death. Whenever the communists talk about immigration, they never say we need more journalists to compete with so our journalism gets better. We need more government bureaucrats to drive down wages and lower the costs of immigration of government. No, they want a modern slave class, a permanent underclass of low-paid, low-wage immigrants to care for them, do their lawns, look after them when they're old, do their nails. They don't care that this is creating shortages. They don't care that it's tearing at the fabric of our civilization, and they don't care that it's undermining our culture. Because what we are dealing with is a large group of collectivists. They believe in big government and they want to fund it with big taxes. Make no mistake, Western civilization is in trouble. And these collectivist governments are using mass immigration as a weapon to cover up a failing economic system. Our citizens are being replaced inside our own nations. And I hope that before it's too late, the truth will become self-evident. Thank you all for coming.